Good morning, everybody. This is Scott Yours, and we're going to do another episode of the Wolf of the Neural Network. This episode here is going to focus primarily on the privacy setting and the privacy officer and director from Nova Scotia Health Authority, Karen Hornberger, and the massive and incredible intentional failings that this person engaged in and then tried to cover up. This video is primarily going to be directed at the Privacy Commissioner of Nova Scotia. In reviewing the conduct of Ms. Hornberger. I think that it's extremely serious, and I think that the fact that it's so obvious that she's lying, that this should actually be seen as investigated by RCMP in a criminal context. Because, like, you can't have somebody who calls himself a director and make these types of failures. This person is obviously trying to hide something, and that'll become very apparent through what we're about to talk about here. And the way that this person treated me and then talked to me afterwards was absolutely nothing short of disgusting. I'll prove that this person, continued to re-victimize me and blame me instead of even answering even a single basic question that any reasonable person would have expected them to answer. So that's basically what we're going to go into. But also please keep in mind that in December 2022, I begged and pleaded Nova Scotia Health Authority to please get a technical resource in the room. Begged and pleaded, and I even discussed privacy law and all the mistakes that they were making and how bad this could actually get. I then produced extremely well-documented and extremely professional technical reviews for David Fraser, a well-known privacy lawyer from the area, to which he's also included on this thread, and you'll see his involvement throughout this process and redirect Nova Scotia Health Authority to him so that they don't continue to make massive mistakes, and these are the things Nova Scotia Health Authority is leaving out from their reviews and their statements. They're not including those emails, just the ones that they want to try to make me seem to be a specific kind of person, showing you exactly what kind of disgusting fucking monsters they will be. Now, first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up an infographic that was created in regards to this. And this will talk about personal health information. It'll take about, which is PHI. And then it'll say safeguards. And then it'll talk about electronics, these types of processes. And then privacy breaches, who and what they're required to report. That would be Nova Scotia Health Authority. And you'll note that all of these points came from documentation that was signed off on by Karen Hornberger. Again, Director and Privacy Officer with Nova Scotia Health Authority. And what we're going to do is I'm going to start up by putting a letter up that was sent to Karen Hornberger. And it took a long time to get this letter. I mean, I submitted my complaints starting in August, and then it took months to get those up until May 25th. So months and months and months and months, right? Now, what you'll note is that on October 22nd, 2022, I submitted a full review of the false arrest. And then what happened at Nova Scotia Health Authority to the entire distribution list, and that includes the privacy officer asking for them to send this to these individuals, asking them to engage their board of directors. That was very clear, and I made that very clear, that serious mistakes were made. Nobody contacted me, nobody did anything, so I had no choice but to persist in my actions, right? And you'll see why I had to persist in my actions, because if these people are going to act like this and do this, given this level of information and this level of a technical expert coming forward and talking about what happened, then these monsters are going to do much worse. And you'll see eventually they did do much worse on March 13th. And then Karen Hornberger tried to blame me like the monster she is. All right. So, now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just discuss the fact that she just blatantly lied right in her letter. Okay? Because you'll note in the first line it says, the first is regarding your book bag being searched by Halifax Regional Police on August 2nd and 3rd, 2022 at the QE2 emergency room and being transferred to Mount Hope, where it was accessed by another patient. That is absolutely false, and it is not what I said at all. First, I gave very clear context that my book bag made it to Mount Hope before I ever seen a doctor. I made it very clear that the doctor mocked me about privacy rights, got up and literally straddled the door, and you can see this. This is under psychologically and professionally degraded by admitting doctor and Officer 5 in the document from October 22nd. Like, I detailed it very clearly what occurred. That they got up and mocked me, denied me a lawyer, mocked my basic privacy rights, and then my book bag, which had a giant sticker on it with my name, got sent with this person who was being held by these officers who heard me talking about the how much J.D. Irving would pay to stay out of jail. And I mean, I even said the admitting doctor then proceeds to go to the door, almost straddle it, and proceeds to mock me with Officer 5 asking me about me asking if it was appropriate having two officers be sitting next to us listening to this conversation. This was after the officer just walked in and just stood there, and after HRP is calling themselves a conflict of interest and just came back and arrested me when they were supposed to get me papers to file a complaint. Right? Like literally, complete breakdown of their own process, and they're lying, calling themselves a conflict of interest. And all I'm doing is asking, is it appropriate now that this guy's standing in the room and this person's now getting up, straddling the door and mocking me as I'm sitting there completely calm. And talking about how Officer 4 did laugh at it, and what the admitting doctor did with mocking me. I then clearly state that upon arriving at Mount Hope, and when I did doze off, much later on, I was woke up with a man standing over me who immediately touches my stomach. Consistent. I was consistent in this. Right? And when I did doze off, I was shocked. Apparently he was a doctor, but it was very alarming and there was no warning. I wasn't able to reach my family, and you'll see all of this. Now, I wasn't able to reach my family as the phone wouldn't dial out because the only two numbers I knew were long distance, which I eventually learned had to use a different phone. In the morning, when everyone was up, person A came to me about my book bag. So this is important, okay? Because first off, Jonathan Jeffries tried to claim that I woke up and it was this person standing over me, because Jonathan Jeffries is a piece of garbage for a cop, and a corrupt cop, and illiterate. But this is important. From my understanding, person A was transferred to Mount Hope by the two HRP officers who heard me talking about J.D. Irving paying millions of dollars to not go to jail. Person A told me that they went through my book bag, meaning the police, including my wallet and IDs, and asked if I wanted to rock, paper, scissors for one of the 20s. To which I obviously did not agree. I was in the middle of calling my mother to tell her I was and what happened, but was interrupted by the meeting with Dr. Holmes and a nurse. I figured they were just going to let me out, so I hung up before it connected. Alright, so, now, you just heard that account. Now, she's saying that my book bag was transferred to Mount Hope where it was accessed by another patient. Does that sound like anything that I said in that? No. She 100 million% lied. She blatantly, absolutely, wholeheartedly lied, even upon being told multiple times. She did not contact me to clarify because she's a liar and she needs to know that she's... Right? She knows she's lying, so she figures that, the right kinds of white are involved, so nobody's going to question this. This is exactly what she's doing. So, right now I'm going to read you an email that was sent August 3rd, 2022, 5:54 p.m. So the night just after I would have showed up, just the same night I would have been sent to Mount Hope, to show you how consistent I've been in in me stating what occurred here. They checked me into the Nova Scotia, literally saying I made it up. I only talked about McNeil in Post Media, which is objectively true. Anyways, and you'll see that in the police report, and you'll see that with Dr. Holmes. I was completely reasonable about the topics I was talking about, just asking the police stop and please talk to me like a reasonable, responsible human being. I am a technical expert, but it shows you what kind of irresponsible and illogical human beings these people were wanted to be. They knew what they were doing, right? I had to sleep in a bed with shit on the blankets. They gave my book bag to a random man who himself said he was high on drugs and woke up hugging it. Went through my wallet, seen money, and felt bad. Again, exactly what I'm saying to Karen Hornberger. This was sent on the 3rd. I then woke up to a man standing over me. I never did anything wrong. So again, I separated the man standing over me very clearly. Now this is important because Jonathan Jeffries tried to say it was the man who ended up with my wallet that was standing over top of me, because he's an illiterate, disgusting human being. The supervisor said my dates were all over the place and I made up excuses. You all know my dates are solid. HRP lied about there being any evidence and never gave any warning that I was going down. Look at the delivery confirmations. Look at my GPS, or look at the views at my property. Look at my accounts being locked. Right? The confirmations of delivery go right back to 2021. You've got these resignations. You've got, on the same date as me, getting my Freedom of Information request back, Kevin Mooney of the shipyard, of Irving Shipbuilding, steps down. Right? You've got me clearly giving up-to-the-minute updates of where I'm at that morning. So I clearly told them where I was at right up to the minute to give them an opportunity to contact me. Right? It's a lie. I gave a lot of warning and incredible evidence that was objectively sitting in their mailbox. Obviously, until the sale of Brunswick News Inc. to Post Media, I wasn't able to piece it all together. I wasn't. As soon as I seen that, I sent an email saying, I caught yous. And then the next day there was a supply and confidence agreement between the Liberals and NDP. I don't know. It seems awfully suspicious timing, especially in relation to everything else, doesn't it? It's a good point. But they are calling me a liar. I've never been arrested, never been in a fist fight, never threatened anyone, never any thoughts of hurting myself, nothing. I just want to move on with my life, but how can I unless I know what happened? I asked if they would investigate J.D. Irving. They said no. That's right. So this wasn't just a complaint about the police. This was a complaint about ongoing illegal activity, and that was explained to Halifax Regional Police. It's just that they're fucking liars, right? They said they are basically going to force drugs into me on Friday to force me to say it never happened, when all of you know it did. That's what these disgusting fucking monsters are hiding from. My book bag was transferred to Mount Hope before I ever seen a doctor. How did that happen? Why did that happen? Was it the two officers that transported that guy? That's right. So that guy was acting sketchy, was acting like he was on drugs, talking about it, walking around all sketched out. So you can see the advantage in sending my book bag with someone like that if you want to create plausible deniability and say that was me because I was there completely calm, right? How did my book bag get sent from QE2 emergency to Mount Hope before I ever seen a doctor, Karen? Yeah, you're gonna say it didn't happen, right? Of course you fucking are. Think about this. My book bag got sent to Mount Hope before I ever seen a doctor, went through by all these people, a major privacy breach after that admitting doctor is mocking me about privacy. Think about how bad this is. You want to know what Karen's trying to cover up? Right? So she then goes on to say, I would suggest that you bring your concerns regarding your police access of your book bag to HRSP as a complaint. And when you see that I did, what Jonathan Jeffries, that corrupt fucking cop, did was said that, oh, it must have been just done by staff and this at NSHA. And when you see these two obviously lying and throwing it back and forth at each other, and you see what I wrote and how fucking cut and dry it is, you're gonna see what two fucking monsters sound like. Now we're going to talk about the wider issue. So here's one serious issue with Karen Hornberger, them not replying to me, not answering the privacy concerns, her blatantly fucking lying about what occurred so she doesn't have to deal with it, is that we're going to go back to my wallet. And this person saying that they went through all my wallet and stuff. My health card was also in my wallet, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to jump forward to March 13, 2023, when Nova Scotia Health Authority Director, with all these associations to Tim Houston, issued an incredibly disparaging hit piece against me to have me terrorized by police and their staff. And they know they need to cover this up because they're facing multi-million-dollar litigation. When they were asked about me recording and about my rights to record, they stated no, that I wasn't allowed to record my physician, which is a lie, and that it was for their privacy. They repeated it 5 or 6 times. And if you check the document I released April 8th, 2023, I was completely consistent in that. Consistent. It was for their privacy, their privacy. I even asked them about providing a policy and they couldn't. That's right. They said they were going to inflict physical fucking violence on me and just lock me up if I didn't give up my phone, which is my right to record. As they then took me into a room with 2 cameras where that doctor recorded their own false record after threatening me with violence, and I can prove she lied about what she said, and then came back and told me that I was making up dates and connections, and when asked which dates or connections, she couldn't answer, and then left me in this room to be recorded for the next 24 hours. All my communications, all my interactions with people, all recorded for 24 hours in a room with no blankets. And you've got Karen Hornberger at the bottom of her letter basically saying you must have deserved it.
So on top of like not allowing me to record anything, telling me I don't have the right to, this is the bed I get this little sheet and this to lay in. That's right. So they can record me while I just lay in here. That's right. I'm an animal. I don't have rights.
Well, even the RCMP allowed me to have my phone. Before going into the room, I was allowed my phone, and after I was allowed my phone, but not during, when they were going to lie on the fucking record, when they would have been held accountable. So if they say, oh, taking my phone was some sort of safety issue, then why didn't you? Because it never was. It was for them to lie and cover up what they were doing. Think about this. Clinicians can refuse to be recorded if they feel that recording will interfere with the provision of care, which seems to have been the case in the scenario you described. Provision of care because you're being recorded? It's going to interfere with my provision of care because you are being held accountable for what you're saying as you're there lying? Yeah, you know what this is. While the CMPA website states, although patients can record their clinicians' encounters without a physician's consent, the same does not hold true for physicians. So, literally, what Karen said is an abject lie. I didn't even need to tell them. So then what would telling them change it? Because you're entitled to under the law. That's why the CMPA website is written like that. You're allowed to by law. Karen Hornberger was asked if she spoke to these people. She said yes, she did. So why is it that you would have to say seems to have been the case? Why don't you say that they said that? Because you know you're lying, Karen. They said it was for their privacy. I even educated them on the one-party consent law in Canada. Right? I educated them on this, on 184 in the criminal code. Right? So let's jump up. I'm going to show you what kind of a failure Karen Hornberger is. So, take a look at point A, personal health information. You can read through them, but it goes down and says registration information including health card number. Okay, now we're going to go to PHIA safeguards. Remember, this is a document Karen Hornberger herself signed off on. And it's disgusting that I have to sit here and explain this to her in pretty little pictures. Right? But she's still going to say, oh, I'm Karen, I must be right. It's the most disgusting, fucking pathetic thing. And you watch this monster pretend to be the victim. Of course, she has to be the victim, right? So it says, NSHA is the custodian of all patient data that is generated from patient care at NSHA facilities. As custodian, NSHA is ultimately accountable to the patient for safeguarding information from breach. That's right, so when they took my book bag, they were clearly being custodians of my stuff. Right? So including all the contents of my wallet. Now, if you look in the contents of my wallet, you've got my driver's license, you've got my credit card, you've got my banking card. Right? But you also have my direct health card, which is listed as direct personal health information. So now, as custodians, they were clearly responsible for all that data, but as custodians, they are directly, without even being custodians, Nova Scotia Health Authority is responsible for anything regarding my health card number, which was in my wallet at the time, and this person went entirely through my wallet. So not just under one provision here, if you look at point A and point B, both directly apply, right? In terms of that was a financial information breach. Did they take pictures of my credit cards? Did they? My banking information? Did they get my social insurance number? What did they do with all of this? And then, think about this, 2 nights later, found 2 RCMP that nobody's seen before sneaking around the house next door when we're 40 kilometers from a police station. Think about that. I had to go outdoors and question what they were doing there. How did they get my information? The chances of them being out here are basically nothing. So, why were they there? Right? It was Nova Scotia Health Authority who gave that information to this person, but even more concerning, seemingly 2 non-associated HRP officers. And Karen is still not telling me how my book bag got sent to Mount Hope before I ever seen a doctor. HRP is blaming Nova Scotia Health Authority. Nova Scotia Health Authority is blaming HRP. Not one of them will answer the question. Right? Now, in terms of this is a privacy breach, right? This is my personal information. So, a privacy breach, an incident where PHI entrusted to you, the organization, Nova Scotia Health Authority, is lost, stolen, or subject to unauthorized access. Use, disclosure, copying, or modification. All breaches must be reported in the SIM system or to the privacy for investigation. Breaches can be non-intentional or intentional. This was absolutely a privacy breach of my information, which they lied about and tried to cover up. And when Karen Hornberger was presented with serious evidence, what did she do? She lied about it to try to cover it up. And she's going to pretend to be the victim. You watch, I didn't know. They were wrong. I didn't know what to do. I'm the victim. It's so hard. You watch. It's fucking pathetic. Right? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to jump forward now to March 13th, right? I was left in a room recorded for 24 hours. And Karen Hornberger says, now this shows you what kind of a fucking failure this woman is. The refusal by staff to allow or not allow you to record the session is not strictly a privacy-related matter. If you were recorded by staff without a reason or notice, it would be a privacy issue. So me being recorded for 24 hours is not you gaining consent from me, right? But we're going to come back to that. Recording of patients in certain areas in the emergency department is only done to ensure safety of patients and no audio is captured. That's right. So Karen Hornberger doesn't believe it's a privacy breach that them recording all my body language, all my interactions with people, because there's no audio. That's right. So if they're recording my screen and the numbers that I'm calling, that's fine because there's no audio. That's right. Subtitles, not information. Sign language between disabled people, not information. Your interactions with your family, their identities and stuff, that shouldn't have to be all information. Karen Hornberger says, no, it's not audio. So it's not recording any useful information or any form of communication, which is an abject lie. It doesn't even make sense. But when you actually take a look at provision G, and you look at 184 in the criminal code, it clearly states every person who by means of any electromagnetic, acoustic, mechanical, or other device. So they're differentiating, right, specifically between audio and video. Karen Hornberger is saying it's all right because no audio is recorded. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You find any person who's going to agree to be recorded for 24 hours. When my aunt and uncle came to visit me, the first thing they said, without being prompted or me telling them, was like, "You're being recorded, what is going on?" They wouldn't even close the door because they thought somebody was going to be standing out there listening. I didn't say that to them. I was completely calm the entire time. I was like, there's nothing I can do. I know, this is fucked up. But this is what these people are going to do. It's what the monsters are going to do because they're trying to find something. Some reason to justify everything that they did. Because people like Karen Hornberger are fucking monsters. And these people know she's never going to do her job and she's going to hide like a coward. That's why she's lying about all of this. She knows exactly what she's doing. Right? Not to mention, the police can subpoena that. And then they're going to say, well, look at this guy, look at this guy. Look at this, maybe he did this here, this there. And then what's Karen Hornberger going to say? No, that's not information? No, she generated a video to be subpoenaed. Clearly, I had problems. I was left in a room with no blanket, no food, the lights left on. Anybody could just walk in. And they're talking about their privacy, them employees, because they might be recorded and held accountable for what you, Nova Scotians, are paying them to do. Why should them being recorded change the way they're going to act? It shouldn't, right? Exactly. And if they're recording me, writing down a false record, then what's the problem with me recording my information? There's nothing wrong with it. Except they don't want to be accountable for the way they're acting, for the lies that they're going to tell on that record. When you see how incredibly biased these people were, and I'm sitting there cool, calm, and collected, and everybody's like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? You're going to see it was because of their prejudice and their bias, and they didn't want to say anything to this director who had direct ties with Tim Houston. Right? So if you actually now check on that the same document, you look at point E. It states, a note on physician use of smartphone recordings. Although patients can record their clinical encounters without a physician's consent, that's right. Physicians cannot do the same. So these physicians did not gain my consent to be recorded for 24 hours. When you're locked up, you don't get recorded in your rooms. You know why? Because you have a right to privacy. Anybody could have walked in that room as I'm sleeping, and they're saying, oh, they're going on about their privacy being a thing? No. But really note how the CMPA writes this, and then note how 184 in the criminal code is written. It's written like that because you don't even need to tell your physician that you're recording them because of the provision in the criminal code. So Karen Hornberger is an abject fucking liar. She has no idea what she's talking about. And you know what? I was nice to these people, gave them time, asked them, and then when Karen Hornberger sent this letter back and blatantly lied, didn't even give me a chance to discuss the points, just closed it down, because that's what a fucking failure and a monster does. The the Privacy Commissioner of Nova Scotia said, hey, Scott, you can request whoever accessed your records. We'd recommend you do that. So I did, and they never replied back to me. Karen Hornberger specifically didn't. I got confirmations back from their email account stating that they received them, but she never replied. And their policy is to reply within 48 hours. So weeks and weeks and weeks pass. I send another email off to OIPC, including Karen Hornberger on there, stating I'm doing a video about her, and guess who seems to reply? And you want to know what she says? Well, you didn't submit the form, so we didn't do anything. Re-victimizing me. How am I supposed to know what forms to include, Karen? That's your job. So now Nova Scotians should just know privacy law? Well, I had to teach you the fundamentals of your own job? It's a disgrace. You're a disgrace. Now, are you going to answer the questions? No, you're going to hide from them. That's why you just closed down the case. This is a fucking embarrassment. It's embarrassing to Nova Scotia Health Authority, and it's embarrassment to every single Nova Scotian. This is a monster. Right? This thing knows exactly what it's doing. It knows the directors are involved. And what do you think this freaking failure for a human being is going to do? It's going to lie, cheat, and steal as much as it possibly can. This is a core reason why these privacy issues need to be removed from Nova Scotia Health Authority, because clearly they're covering up for their personal liability. Karen Hornberger knows how liable she is in this situation, so she is going to lie, cheat, and steal and cause me as much financial harm as she possibly can, because that means that coward can hide from her job. She signed off on these documents and doesn't even know what she's talking about. She has no clue. She lied about speaking to people. She lied about everything. She still can't answer how my book bag got sent to Mount Hope before I seen a doctor. That's a privacy issue. Right? How did my information get with those people? That's her job. You think she's going to do her job? No, because she's content with being a failure. And me, you, Nova Scotia, and Canada have to pay for those kinds of failures. Like Karen Hornberger and Jonathan Jeffries. These people are professional failures. They are going to lie, cheat, and steal, do everything they possibly fucking can, and then they're going to pretend to be the victims. They're going to blame everybody else. You can already see Karen doing it. Jonathan Jeffries, well, everybody knows what he is. I mean, like, if you even just talk to him on the phone for a few minutes, you know what a failure that man is. I could smell it. Right? If you just let these people act like that, they're just going to keep doing it, and they're going to feel more entitled to it next time and next time and next time. You need to tell these kinds of abject fucking failures exactly what they are. And I could prove they're failures. Karen Hornberger can't answer a basic fucking question but is talking down at me. That's a goddamn failure. That's the worst kind of fucking failure that can possibly exist. Right? That thing can't even reflect and think about itself and say, well, maybe I should answer that fundamental question. Right? She can't, because she knows the liability she's facing. That monster is going to do everything she can to hide from the liability she is personally facing. Well, look at somebody like Jonathan Jeffries. What's he going to say when I ask him the question, or somebody says, well, Jonathan, how did Scott's GPS get set to this location in Stillwater, Nova Scotia? And then the associations with these EMIC contracts. What's he going to say? I'm Jonathan Jeffries and I put my big boy pants on. The pictures were too pretty. Right? You know what that fucking failure is. Right? It's a disgusting fucking embarrassment, and he knows it. So what do you think that failure is going to do? Right? These are two sorts of the same kind of failures, and that's why these people are in their positions and in their jobs. Because people know exactly what kind of compromised human beings they are, and I can prove every fucking bit of it. And that's our episode for today. I got a little bit heated. It's a very sensitive topic for me, watching those disgusting human beings act like that and just lie and lie and lie. It's like really raises the question, what did they do to other people? These monsters must have attacked other people. Right? You don't become a disgusting fucking monster like that just overnight, right? Like, these are conditioned monsters. Partly conditioned by the failures that they are in their everyday life, but then conditioned by their work environments, by being allowed to get away with these kinds of things, right? But I can tell you, I am not the kind of person to let them get away with this at all, and I am not going to back down, Karen Hornberger. As far as I'm concerned, the fact that you aren't fucking ashamed and just answering that question proactively tells me exactly what you are. And you think I'm going to back down from that? No, honey. I'm going to destroy your fucking career. because you had no problem trying to destroy my life just so you could sit on your lazy fucking ass. The same thing to Jonathan Jeffries. That is a disgusting fucking lazy embarrassment. That is everything wrong with policing, right? He stinks of corrupt fucking cop, right? So that's going to be my next video. Is going to be on Jonathan Jeffries and them obviously lying. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy the episodes and get ready for a real tangy one, because I'm going to tell Mr. Jeffries exactly who and what he is. It's about time somebody did.